Yo, Elliot! Hey, so our buddy Adam's having some problems with his bench press. Essentially, he's getting some pain in the anterior compartment of his shoulder after bench pressing. Apparently, he's following all my advice and all the tips associated with strong, solid bench pressing, keeping structural integrity while he's performing the movement. Now, one of the things you've got to understand about all movement is that it emanates from a position of rest, which basically means where are you coming from with that movement? What type of posture do you have? In exercise, one of the things that one of our catchphrases when you start studying exercise science and going to certifications and courses is that form equals function. The way your body is going to dictate what happens when you move. And that's why I spend so much time and place so much emphasis on the development of your posture, structural integrity, keeping your joints in their instantaneous axis of rotation, eliminating muscle viruses. All these things that you hear me talk about are because they are who you are, and that is far more important than what you do. It is the foundation from which you do what you do, and that's why we got to pay very close attention to it. You could be doing all of the right things, but if you're coming from the wrong place, it really doesn't matter. Right? And one of the places that most people, the most obvious place, because I mean, nothing happens in one portion of the body or physiology or psychology that doesn't affect everything else. But we tend to see the most obvious manifestations of dysfunctions that are typically far deeper. And it's easy to work our way back. So if you're having shoulder pain, right? One of the first places I'm going to look is that what's going on with your thoracic spine. Thoracic extension, the posture associated with the mid portion of your back, is the closest indicator as to the structural integrity and health of your shoulder, right? So in layman's terms, if you got a fucked up mid-back, if your shoulders are hurting you, it's because of that mid-back. If you got a rounded upper back, right? You got slumped over posture. Look, where the shoulder belongs is here, right? With the scapular retracted, the shoulder girdle basically sitting nice and soft, right? Everything's just kind of hanging there. A lot of people got so much tension and so much muscular imbalance that it rotates forward, right? It's coupled with medial rotation of the upper arm. And this is very slight, this is very subtle a lot of times. You know, you look at someone and it's like, well, that guy doesn't have bad posture. But it's very subtle because there are tiny little muscles associated with internal stability, right? Internal stability, like the muscles closest to the joint that you don't see right away. So I'm going to give you one exercise, one tip. This is going to be something you could implement right away without getting too confused with Elliott's mind-boggling weird talk. And it's going to be humbling for many of you to do this. It's going to be quite humbling, but it's also going to be an indication as to the shoulder health, your shoulder health, and also besides being an assessment, it's also going to help strengthen those muscles that are typically weak and detracting from your structural integrity. So I don't have Chris with the camera today, so hopefully you can see me. I'll bring the camera over. What you really need to begin with, right, is one of these. It's just a PVC pipe. I've used many different things, including rubber bands, like the big rubber bands. I've used wooden dowel rods. This is basically like in between a rubber band and a wooden dowel rod. So I find that most people benefit well from using this. So you're just gonna watch me do it, and I'll talk a little bit about the integral details of it as I'm doing it. So what you're gonna wanna do is when you get down into this position, very important, you might think that it's just useless detail, but I want you to point your toes down into the ground and lift your quads up and squeeze your butt. Like I said, everything affects everything else. So what's happening down there is going to affect what's going on up here, right? So dig these in. You're gonna grab this overhand. You start overhand. You're gonna bring it up and around. You're gonna notice a couple things. You're gonna notice my thoracic extension. You're gonna notice that my chest is up, which is essential for my ability to bring that bar all the way around. If I have that kyphotic posture like a lot of people, I'll be like this. Won't be able to do it. So what does this force you to do? Thoracic extension. That way you can bring it. You can bring it all the way around. So, a few things that I didn't feel like yelling down there, especially since it's so damn hot today. A few things that I wanted to draw to your attention also is that as that bar is coming up past the midpoint of your skull and you're bringing it all the way back around, and you start to notice that there's external rotation at the upper arm, you're also going to feel a strain on the muscles in the back. Your rear delts, your rhomboids, your lower trapezius. These are all muscles that you're forcing to strengthen, you're forcing to contract in order to bring that thing all the way back around. So it's doing two things. It's stretching the biceps, the lats, it's forcing thoracic extension, right? Lengthening the muscles in the front. Just look, it looks almost like my bow. When I do the bow exercises that you see me do to warm up, look. The reason why I have you do that is because it lengthens the muscles in the front of the body that are associated with all types of good stuff. I don't want to rant about that now. But once you get past the midpoint, it's also strengthening. Notice all these muscles are contracting as I bring it back down to the butt and back over. Now check it out. A lot of you guys who are big bench pressers and your shoulders don't hurt are going to try that and you're not going to be able to do it. Fine, that's cool. You know, you might just say to yourself, well, I don't need to do that. I'm above and beyond that. Yeah, your shoulders don't hurt right now. Or the shoulders are okay, but you've got TMJ, you've got jaw problem, you've got neck problem, you got headaches, right? You've got it's going to show up somewhere else if you don't have structural integrity in all ranges of motion for all joints. It's going to show up somewhere else, right? You might have tension headaches, you might get all types of other weird things. The point is that when I spoke earlier about the most obvious manifestation of our dysfunction, it could show up in many different ways for many different people, but if we backtrack physiologically or neuromuscularly, it's always going to be a manifestation of a muscle virus. So the root is always going to be a muscular imbalance, lack of structural integrity somewhere in your body. It could be in your hips, it could be in your shoulders, but ultimately the pain that you have, the chronic pain that you're experiencing, is always found somewhere else, right? So that's it, dude. I hope that helps. Besides all the ranting and rambling that I'm doing in this video, try that and use that every single day. It's going to support you in healthy shoulders. Peace. Yo, Elliot.